Hey everybody, this is Magnus Booner from www.magnusboner.com. Today we're going to talk about one of my best favorite subjects, and that is kitchen gadgets. Yeah, that's a little weird. I'm passionate about kitchen gadgets. I've got this problem. I go to the store, and every time I do, I find myself looking at kitchen gadgets. I'm pretty good about not buying new ones, but it's a thing for me. When I say kitchen gadgets, I'm talking about the tools you use in the kitchen. Things like cast iron skillets, biscuit cutters, dough scrapers, measuring spoons, measuring cups, spatulas, kitchen tools. Let's head out to the kitchen. Alright, so here we are in my kitchen. First things, we're going to get this hippie hair out of the way. You don't want it to get in anything. That's just gross. Okay, so I've kind of got some stuff staged here so I can talk to you about it. I've got this box here. Often I go over to my buddy's house and I'm doing some cooking over there for him and his sweetie. And when I take the Magnus T Boner Roadshow out, I throw all my gear in this box, and he's got a lot of the same stuff. It's redundant, but it's nice to know exactly I've got what I need and I can find it, and it just makes things easier. So we'll just start with some of the basic stuff in this box. Let's see here. This is just a basic stainless steel mixing bowl. These are great. You combine ingredients in here, you mix them up. You could serve a salad in it. You can do everything with it. Cool thing about these is they're cheap. They're universal. You can find them everywhere. And yeah, last your lifetime. We'll just set that on the floor, get it out of the way. What else? These are Pyrex Pie Plates. They're made out of a special kind of glass called borosilicate glass. Borosilicate glass is really durable. It doesn't shatter very easy, and it handles heat transfer quite a bit. And actually, a lot of the stuff that we'll talk about that's glass is actually made out of this borosilicate, or Pyrex is the brand name. Alright, let's see what else we got in here. Oh! Well, this is interesting. That's my favorite Pilsner Urquell beer glass that a really special girl gave to me. Oh my God, there's a can of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale in here. Stand by just 1 second. We're going to make some magic happen right now. Oh. You notice my proper pouring technique, alright? Let's see if we can get a little head out of that. Who does not like head? Oh, we're getting a lot of head. Here I am, I'm trying to show you how to pour a beer. Well, actually, this is correct. We're going to let that settle a bit, and that's how you get really good tenacious head, but we already went over that in a different video. But it's good to have it foam up if you want long-lasting head. And if you're going to have head, it's best if it lasts a while. I mean, sometimes it's good to get it over with, but I kind of like to take my time. Oh my God, look at that thing. It's over the top of the glass. Oh God. That is some epic head. That's a can-conditioned beer, so we're going to stop there because there's some yeast in the bottom. God, look at that. Alright, where were we? Okay, kitchen gadgets. These are your basic measuring cups. There's lots of different kinds on the market. I like these ones because they're stainless steel. They've also got some volumetric measurements in milliliters on the side. I can't say that I've ever actually used that. This is called a dough scraper, or a bench scraper. We used it in the baking industry. You use it for cutting up dough and a lot of things, but what I use it a lot for is, well, when I'm making biscuits, I guess I scrape the bench. But it's really handy when you're working with these measuring cups. I use it to level off the flour, or I'll scoop it in the flour and I'll tap the thing to get it good and settled, and then I'll level it. Professional bakers, they weigh their ingredients, or scale them out, as they say. And that's because these volumetric measurements, they can be inaccurate. And so to do them correctly, you need to make sure this is full and level. What else? Alright, so these are real simple. I think these are actually designed to be a little pie plate. They're made of aluminum. They came in a 4-pack. Since I'm a blog writer and a big YouTube shot, sometimes I need to prep ingredients and have them ready for filming, or maybe I just want to make sure I got all my shit together and double check my checklist, make sure I'm not screwing anything up. I can pre-measure stuff and then store it away in these. This is essentially the same thing. These are little stainless steel cups. Real handy. This is an interesting tool. It's one that doesn't get a ton of use, but it's not a unitasker. What's a unitasker? That is a tool that only does one job. And typically I like tools that do multiple jobs. This is called a potato ricer. It's like a giant garlic press. It's got this perforated bottoms. They come in 2 different sizes. People will use these for making mashed potatoes. You'll boil your potatoes, then you'll mash it through this, then you'll start whipping them up. They work great for that. I've never used it for that. I use this for making German Spatzel. That's a little dumpling. It's made out of, I believe, eggs, flour, and a little salt, and probably some water. I think I use beer. Some folks might use milk to make them a little heartier. They're just a simple egg dumpling, almost like a pasta. You can put a cheese sauce on that, and it's the German equivalent to macaroni and cheese. And I use this for making my dumplings. I'll make the batter, I'll put it in here, then this goes over a boiling pot, you just squish it out into the pot, and it turns that goo into dumplings. That's right, Magnus T. Booner, turning goo into dumplings. So, my friend Kelly, she's a sweetheart of a lady. She introduced me to these. These are measuring spoons, right? Nothing fancy. But you see that big ass tablespoon? It's elongated. Well, why would you do that? Well, sometimes we're measuring spices out of a container like this. It's a pretty common container. The round kind of measuring spoons, they won't get into this thing. Yeah, got this plastic thing. There we go. But as you can see, that gets right in there. This set also comes with this little leveler. This is on a ring. You can take it all apart, but that leveler allows you to scrape the top of that and get an exact, precise measurement, which I already talked about the importance of that. But this is handy. These are handy. This is just a spice shaker. I save these because often I buy my spices from the bulk section at the QFC or the Hagen store, and then I'll just reuse these, or sometimes maybe you mix up a blend of custom spices or some Creole seasoning or something. You want something to put it in. I'll also go to the Mexican section and get the whole ancho chili pods, and then I'll break those apart. I'll put them in a blender, turn it into a powder. Now I've got ancho chili powder. It's pretty fresh. I can put it in one of those. This is an oven thermometer. I've got one in my oven over there, and I've also got one I take with me. Ovens vary in temperature. You know, you set the thermostat for 400 degrees. Is it actually 400 degrees in there? You really don't know. Those thermostats are not very reliable, and they vary oven to oven. If you've got one of these, you can know what the actual temperature is, and then I'll actually take notes. I know at my old Shelton house, back when I lived there, if I had one set point, it actually got me this temperature. Well, I'd put that on my recipe, so next time I did it, I could find the exact temperature I want. I do the same thing at my buddy's house. Brand name of this. Nexpro, Nupro, Nepro. I need to figure out the brand name, and I'll put it on here digitally somehow for you guys, because this is important. This is called a pastry cutter, is what they're known as, and you use this when you're making biscuits or pie crusts or any kind of pastry really, where you're going to cut in some kind of fat. Those fat pieces, when it gets rolled out, that's what makes it flaky and whatnot. Well, often I'm using butter that's cold so it doesn't get cut up into too small pieces. But when butter's cold, it's hard. So this thing needs to be sturdy. I bent a lot of these. There's a lot of cheap, shitty ones on the market. And before I found this one holds up. Once in a while I might bend it a little bit and I get it back in shape, but it's the most durable one I've found. If you know of one more durable, let me know in the comments. But I've been using this unit for years. I've gifted quite a few of these. They used to sell them at the hardware store there in Shelton, Washington, Tozier's Ace Hardware. And man, great kitchen gadget. You see the lacing of foam? That has to do with that good pour. So this is a tiny gram scale. When I do a lot of my recipe development, I like to do both metric measurements and imperial measurements. And sometimes it's also just nice to know the weights of ground pepper, and to know, for conversion reasons, when I put my recipes online, I want international cooks to be able to use them. So I'll weigh some stuff out in grams. Handy little tool. Also, if you're selling cocaine, one of these is really handy for that. So that about does it for the box here. This last thing is a biscuit cutter. This is just an old soup can or bean can. I've cut the ends out. Eventually I'm going to file it a little bit so it's a little bit sharper, but it does a great job for cutting biscuits. Don't twist, you'll seal the sides together. Push straight down, but it's just the right size. It's easy to handle. So there, kitchen gadget. Oh, this is super handy. This is just your instant read thermometer. This one's digital. If you're cooking anything that's meat, it's often a good idea to poke a hole in it and make sure it's done. It's great for that. These are super handy. That's it for the box. Now we'll start on the stuff on the counter. So these are skewers that you'd use for shish kebab, I think is how you say that, shish kebabs. These ones are metal and they are flat. When you've got something on a grill, that flat surface, when you turn it, it's not going to spin on the stick like those stupid bamboo skewers. And likewise, you're not creating garbage or throwing anything away or burning up your bamboo on the grill, because these are made of metal. They're really handy to use. I like having some long tongs. That way you're not right on top of the fire. You can use it to twist that. These are just stainless steel tongs that I got at my local restaurant supply store. That's a good spot to get a lot of good gadgets that are just simple and work and are quality, is the restaurant supply store. So this is a sieve. A lot of times when we're working with flour, we sieve it. Now you ask, why do we do that? Some people give you some bullshit thing like it aerates the flour, and there might be some truth to that. I do it to get any lumps out of it. Historically, it was done to get the bugs out of the flour. Yeah, that's a little gross, but as you know, weevil eggs can be in flour. They will germinate. Pretty soon you got flour full of bugs. You need to get those bugs out of there. Modern times, not an issue, but historically that's actually why this was used. So this is one of those laser guided thermometers. It's got the laser pointer. Says the palm of my hand's 92.93. Palm of my hand is 92.9 degrees. This is super handy. When I'm doing something on this range top with the cast iron skillet, I can set it about number 5 on the burner, 5 to 6. I'll shoot it with that, and it's reading about 350 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface, up to 400. Well, it's handy to know that, because the smoke point of my fat that I'm going to be sauteing in, my clarified butter, my macadamia nut oil, the stuff like that, well, it starts to smoke at about, I think, 400 Fahrenheit. So you keep it south of there, you're not smoking it. That's pretty handy to know. Also good for when you're making steaks. Just good for knowing surface temperatures of things. I use it for roasting coffee too. This is a basic scoop. You might call it an ice cream scoop. The old lunch ladies in line at the old Tenino School District seemed like they were serving everything with these. They're used a lot in the restaurant for portioning things. When I'm making my little pumpkin cookies that my old sweetie Star taught me how to make, I'll use one of these scoops to scoop it out on the pan. They work great. So I've got some graduated cylinders here. This is 500 milliliters, this is 100 milliliters. This is 10 milliliters. I don't really use this 10 milliliter much. You could use it for doing vanilla for recipes and do the conversion, but from tablespoons. The thing I don't like about this one, the top of it's so small it's hard to pour into, and you almost need a tiny funnel. It's kind of a pain in the ass for measuring with. Much more handy is this 100 mil and 500 mil. When you're measuring out the milk for your biscuits, this works great for that. You can just convert cups to milliliters. And same thing, I think I've used this when I'm making really big batches of cookies for measuring out vanilla. Super handy. Alright, that's just about all the gear on the counter. So this is a tub. It's just a simple plastic tub. Again, it's got some graduation marks. Not even sure I'd trust those for measuring, really. What I use this for is storing my flour in. Again, keeping bugs and mice and whatnot out of it. I'll put my bag of flour in here. Works great. Another advanced technique. This is a binder clip. I actually like the bigger ones, but for whatever reason I've got two small ones here. Use these for pinching bags back shut. You got some frozen diced onions in the freezer, you pinch the bag shut with one of these. You can use clothespins too, work great for that. That's handy, just keeps your stuff safe from any kind of vermin. In some big cities you might have a rat problem. If you're a rural person, good chance you got field mice or forest mice. If you don't have cats around to find their way in your house and find your way into your flour, and you don't want that, that's gross. So this is just a basic cast iron skillet. I have no idea really where this came from. I got it from my dad's house, or at least I believe I did. It's old. The older ones were smoother than the modern ones. The modern ones made by Lodge are kind of porous, and that allows the fat to build up and carbonize more quickly, seasoning it. These smoother ones have a thinner layer of carbon that builds up for seasoning. As you can see, it's oiled. I keep it oiled with either clarified butter or I use coconut oil. I'm not really showing you this for any real particular reason. I'm telling you about it so I can tell you about one of the things I use to clean it with. My buddy Joshua King, who also has a YouTube channel, introduced me to these. This is a piece of chain mail. It's about a 3x3 inch square. This thing is awesome. You get some stuff stuck in here when you cook. You scrub it with this and it breaks all that stuff off there. It forms to the pan, forms to the side of the pan. It works really well. And then when you're all done, you just dry off the pan, throw it on the grill, throw some fat in it, get it melted, swirl it around, you're good to store it. Now this, you can actually wash this with dish detergent because you don't have to maintain any kind of seasoning on it like you do the pan. These are awesome. Jesus Christ, all this crap around. I went to go grab these. Now, like I said, I used to work in a bakery. The old production manager there, or whatever the hell his title was, he was my boss, is a guy named Jerry. Good old guy, kind of grumpy and a little rough, but you see him standing around, and he'd have these just dangling from his wrist. He'd be running the oven, at the holidays. I think there were 6 decks with 3 pans in each deck, and he'd have to sit there and manage that and make sure everything was good to go. He would have these. These are made out of like a terry cloth. They're really thick. You can hold on to a pan for quite a while with these, and it won't get hot through the mitt and burn your hand. These are hard to find. I think my buddy found them on Amazon, and he gave them to me for my birthday because he knew I liked them. Love these things. They're super cool. Best oven mitt heat pad you can find. just more simple tongs. I already talked how much I like these. I think these are the OXO or XOX brand, whatever, that you get at the store. They got the nylon on them, so if you're working with a coated skillet, you don't have to worry about scratching it. Wooden spoons. They come in a lot of different kinds. These ones are made out of bamboo. I recommend bamboo. I have literally had these for probably 13 years, and they haven't split, they haven't cracked, they haven't broke. I've seen a lot of broken wooden spoons. I've had these for years. They're still good to go. Spatulas. These are handy for scraping things. I make sure that all of mine are the high heat kind. Again, had these for a lot of years. They got a stainless steel handle, silicone top. I think my old sweetie got these for me, but they last forever. They're indestructible. And that high heat silicone, you don't have to worry about scratching anything with it. It just works great. Great when you're making any kind of sauce. This is a cool tool. This is a microplaner. We might get a closer look at this. It's got these microplanes on it, and it's great for grating Parmesan cheese. That's what I use it mostly for. You can also use it for nutmeg and some other spices. I mostly use it for Parmesan, but it is not. This is not a unitasker. Fresh ground black pepper is a must for everything. Get yourself a good pepper mill. I think this one came from Fred Meyer. It's cheap, it's adjustable, and it just frickin' works. I like to do a lot of deep frying. Deep frying is the most efficient way of transferring heat into food because it's like a pan that coats around your food. And if your oil's hot and clean and you're doing things right, what you're cooking really doesn't absorb a lot of that oil. I'll often fry in peanut oil or, well, mostly peanut oil. And so that's a nice nut oil, not a ton of saturated fat in that. But sometimes I'm getting really eccentric and I'm making some French fries. I might deep fry in lard or duck fat. And those are some high saturated fats. And, well, you probably shouldn't eat a lot of stuff fried in those. But your body will tolerate some. This works great for getting things in and out of your deep fryer. If you've got a good stock pot and you've got a candy thermometer or a deep fry thermometer that clips to the side, you can deep fry right on your countertop. A word of caution, and I do not take responsibility if you burn your house down. Fill that pot about half full. Sometimes when you put stuff into a pot of hot fat or oil, it'll start driving steam out of that. That'll create a lot of bubbles, and that oil can go over the top of the pot and hit the burner and catch on fire. I once had a fire in my kitchen. I also had a fire extinguisher nearby, so there was no issues. Oh, have a frickin' fire extinguisher in your kitchen. That's a tip from Magnus Booner that you can thank me for. Back to this. This is a stainless steel wire basket. So I love stainless steel. It's durable. It's even cheap these days because a lot of it's made in Asia, specifically China. And so what I'll do before I buy something in the grocery store is typically that stuff, it's either going to break the first time you use it or it's going to last forever. So if I'm going to break it, I'm going to break it in the grocery store. I'll pick it up and I'll push on it. I'll check out the welds. I'll make sure this thing's not snapping apart anytime soon. And I'll get kind of rough with it because if I do break this one, I will put it back on. I will grab a different one and I'll manhandle it. If it doesn't break, I'll take that one home with me. And I don't know if that makes me a bad person or not, but you shouldn't be selling shit that I'm going to break in the grocery store because I am going to field test that before I take it home. Yeah, you know, this is for beating your meat. Yeah. I like to make schnitzel. That's where you take meat and you pound it out really flat, you flour it and you fry it. It's traditional in German cooking. This one has fine waffle type, I don't even know what we call this, but you can see it. It's knurled, I guess, and you can do the fine part, you can do the coarse part, if you're beating some kind of, I don't know, cube steak or something for making chicken fried steak, or it's got this smooth part, and that's what I actually use. I beat like this, and you kind of beat and pull, and you get that that cutlet nice and thin, so when you fry it up, it's nice and crispy. Handy. This is a pastry wheel or a pizza wheel. Use it mostly for slicing pizza. Again, not a unitasker though. If you're working with dough and you need to cut it in a circle for making pie crust, you can use this. You can also use the old dough cutter for that. Back in the bakery days, we would make a lot of things where we'd have a sheet of pastry and we'd cut it either into squares or strips and we'd fold it or twist it or whatever. That's also what this is used for. It's not just for cutting pizza. Though I think this one did come from Papa Murphy's. Again, had it for years. This thing is built sturdy and built to last. I like that. And it's made of stainless steel. These are cooling racks. I like the kind that are a grid because sometimes I'm draining something like French fries. If I'm doing some of my fries, I love making those. Well, you need to drain those and you want them to stay crispy. You don't want the oil to soak in. So I'll use that kind. Likewise, if I'm baking cookies, I can cool it on these. These are real handy. So I pretty much only use one kind of baking sheet. Is that a correct statement? I think so. This is what I like for biscuits. It's got a non-stick coating on it, so your biscuits don't stick. And it's this Air Bake brand. I don't know if you can see this, but it's got this waffling, and it's thick. And so it doesn't get as intensely hot, and so the bottom of your biscuits are going to be crunchy-er, but sometimes if you've just got an old flat steel pan, they'll get downright hard on the bottom. It doesn't happen with these, and you don't have to worry about the bottoms getting black. I love these Air Bake sheets. Alright, well I think that's about all the stuff we got to talk about. Oh my, we're back in my bedroom. Well, this is where all the action happens after all. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't done it, like I said, smack that subscribe button for me, and check out my blog, and I'll be rambling at you again real soon. Thank you.